Ginger Prime stands with a rallying call. Pixelit faith, standing strong through it all. The flame rate may falter, but hearts won't fall. Chrono rewrites what you thought you knew at all. Late to the game, but his wisdom lands clean. Skill checks are off, that's the price of a dream. Gaming kinda brings a chaos and thrill. Dropping rare loot with unshakable will. Forte holds the line, grace under the blade. Faith like a fortress that never will fade. Scrag lights the fire with a storm in his breath. $80 flat for unfinished quests. Joy-Con still drifting, my patience long gone. But I'll queue up at midnight, you know I'll play on. Pull up a chair, the battle's begun. Legends are forged in the light of the sun. One life, no saves, play it bold, take the lead. At the gaming roundtable where the fearless plant every seed. Reshine by the riding tree. Ride no please. Rise through the fire, no checkpoint in sight. One heart, one strike through the endless night.
Gets me every time.
I know. I want to like battle.
I have all kinds of messages my brain's sending my body. Not one of them is to sit down and talk about games, but fighting's one of them.
Yeah. Give me a sword.
Welcome everyone to the Gaming Roundtable. It's Friday, June 20th, 2025, 1:03 p.m. How you guys doing? Scrag, Chrono, what's new? How's the week?
It's been good. Pretty busy. Trying to just stay on top of all the news that Xbox decided to drop this week.
The AMD thing we'll talk about, right? Was there something else?
Well, it was mostly that. It's just there's a lot. People are reading into it a lot more than maybe they should. And so there's a lot of discourse around just what AMD said versus what Xbox said. But they're saying the same things.
Gotcha. I've never known gamers that are chronically online to read too much into something. So it works good, though. It sounds like you've had a busy week. You got a busy week next week, though. You're here.
Yeah. I mean, I had the day off yesterday, so that was actually nice.
There you go.
Me and my wife got to hang out and do a couple things all day because my kid's been at like horse camp all week. And so we've just got to hang out. It was nice. Like we haven't had too many moments like that lately where it's just the two of us doing like, I got to run to the store. You want to go with? So we just like ran to Lowe's. I had to get some stuff and, just domestic life things.
It is funny how like running to the store together can be fun as you get older when you find the time.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Scrag, you've been working out. You've been saying, what are you doing here? You doing like these cardio, lifting? What's up?
So I've been walking like 4 to 6 miles a day and
Nice.
Push-ups, sit-ups, all that fun stuff. Some curls. So I kind of went hard on the curls and pulled something. So giving that a rest. But yeah.
You got to be careful there. How old are you now, Scrag? I don't want to out your age, but I'm just curious. This relates to the lifting conversation.
Early 30s.
Okay. Yeah, around 35, which I am now, is when I've lifted and like hurt myself, like to the point where I should probably see a doctor, but you're still good.
Yeah, I mean, I tore my AC in my shoulder when I was 20-something, deadlifting 500 or like 480 or something.
Okay.
450, but it's 485.
So when the pain's bad enough to go see someone. So.
Well, ironically, I didn't feel any pain because I was on muscle relaxers. So,
okay.
Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Don't deadlift on muscle relaxers. That's the takeaway for the day.
Yeah,
the name of the podcast: muscle relaxers and deadlifting.
Not good. At least not over 400 pounds. You know your limits.
Yeah, that's true. That's good in all aspects of life. Speaking about life, Brian's not here. He's obviously missing. I think he has exciting things in life. He's not food poisoned again. He's healthy. So he asked us to fill in for him. We have an exciting show, obviously, as you mentioned, Chrono. There's some stuff with Xbox. There's some Nintendo news. There's some Stellar Blade news. There's some interesting Stellar Blade mods that Scrag shared in the Discord, which all I'll say is I have the same bathing suit as her. So,
God, no.
That doesn't surprise me.
Don't send me any selfies. I don't want that.
No, that won't happen. But it's going to be a good show. I think, Chrono, you're kind of the agenda master. If you want to take us through the topics, so we could kind of share our thoughts and get on the road here.
Well, let's talk about the beginning of the week. Well, I guess midweek. Was that Wednesday? We had the Donkey Kong Nintendo Direct. Did anybody watch that?
Yes.
Yeah. That actually changed my whole perspective on the game. I went from being kind of like, I might pick it up at some point to no, I want it injected into my veins right now. It looks like a good game.
Yeah. I was already going to get it. I think that's where a lot of people were because Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo platform owners, they want first party Nintendo games.
Yeah.
It looked fun. It looked cool. But yeah, I mean, what they showed really blew me away. It seems like the scope in terms of design, systems, mechanics, even narrative features like, voice acting and music is just like AAA across the board for Nintendo.
Right. It went from feeling like kind of, hey, we made a new Donkey Kong to test out some mechanics to we built a fully fleshed out game. And it feels like a prequel to Mario Odyssey, but like a sequel in like a structure to Mario Odyssey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because if you think about some of the elements that are there, they were there in Mario Odyssey. The costumes, for example. But no, the costumes are also different because they have attributes and they have levels. So like Donkey Kong's hot pink pants can be ranked up, which again, Scrag, going back to the image you sent us from Stellar Blade, this might be a game for you.
I can't wait for your cosplay, honestly.
But even it's a pretty nice game.
We lost him.
We froze you. All right, you're back. Now, what were you saying?
Please let me know if that happens. That happened last time at the end. No, it's an RPG. Like this is an action RPG Donkey Kong game.
I'm for it though. Like the mechanics of the game, I wasn't completely sold on. Hey, you can just destroy everything, but now that they've shown just kind of how that works just across the game, it's like okay, no, this is actually kind of fun. It just old school platformer collectathon vibes, and that's right up my alley. Like I love games like that. So yeah, I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah. I think some of the things that really stood out to me in terms of design were just real briefly, they showed some like, challenge courses, and there was a mix of old school 2D challenge courses, but then there was situations where it almost looked like you had your own approach to how you could solve. Like there was these spiky balls going down a path and Donkey Kong had to find out a way to direct those balls a different way. And it kind of gave me like Breath of the Wild shrine vibes too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even consider that, but yeah, the way they showed like some of the abilities, like being able to pick up just a piece of the ground, and then you just go throw it at something else, or you can jump off of it. Like that was crazy to me. It's like okay, they made Cappy more functional.
Yeah, and I enjoyed all the puns that related to bananas or the giant eels that teleport you throughout the entire world.
The one thing I wanted to make sure I mention here is I've seen a lot of confusion. Like a lot of people offline and then on any content I did around that direct, people have commented, I don't want to pay $80 for this game. And I was like, it's not $80. Like, because I looked it up. I was like, is it? Because I don't know if I want to, but I looked it up. It's $70. Now that's not much better. And that's what we got with the Borderlands 4 pricing, right? It's not $80. But is the $10 difference really like your breaking point with games like this? Like I don't know if this is like a different discussion, but the game is 70 physical or digital.
There's 2 points to it, right? There's a conversation about what is game pricing and what should it be, but there's also the conversation of the amount of misinformation that's still around the Switch 2.
Right.
Like I was listening to a pretty big podcast. And a journalist from the Washington Post was saying how he was on a big show and they were still like, why are these games $90? And he's like, none of them are $90.
None of them.
It's that, and all the games are digital only. No, too. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I could see what they mean if the digital versions were $10 cheaper than the physical, then they're digital only because I'm not paying an extra $10.
Right.
Sure.
And that would be okay. Like, I wouldn't complain too much if the physical games had a slight savings. Now, I don't think the packaging and cartridge and, marketing materials around all of that cost the $10, even a $5 difference per like one copy of the game. But
No, it's
if there
probably
was
like
a price
30
difference,
cents.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but when you're doing things at such scale, things like shipping and all that stuff get less expensive, right? It's interesting. I think it's going to be very successful. Obviously, there's only so much you can say before you actually play a game, but just what they showed, it just reminded me like of why I tend to like simple games like this. It's complex in mechanics and design. It's just a game about having fun. My favorite part, and Scrag, I don't know, I don't think you're one of these people, but the amount of people online that are upset about Donkey Kong lore potentially being revised because Pauline's in it as a child, as a Zelda fan who loves the lore, but also knows it makes no sense. I find it so funny, the amount of people online, like, they're ruining Donkey Kong lore. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Not everything needs lore.
I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong lore is like lighting up a blunt and then hanging out with your Japanese dev friends and watching National Geographic. I'm pretty sure that's the lore. So like, who cares, bro?
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, here we go. Danny in the chat says like Mario doesn't have a proper lore. There's a video interview with Miyamoto years ago when he's like, how do these games all connect? And Miyamoto just said, it's like Mickey Mouse. Like,
yeah, Mickey Mouse is a badass warrior, a magician, and like a cute little dude. So like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I think even Miyamoto has said, it's like, think of all of the characters like actors in a play, and they just fill whatever role they're needed for. And so Mario's the hero because he's the hero. Donkey Kong is hanging out with young Pauline because the story said they are. And like, I'm good with that. I don't need deep interconnected lore. Even you're talking about Zelda, the Zelda timeline, that's not totally necessary. Is it interesting? Sure. But is it necessary? No, I can still enjoy every single one of the Zelda games that I like, regardless of where it's in the timeline.
Yeah, I agree. There's certain things I think having a conversation about lore is warranted. But there are certain things where I'm just like, come on, guys, just enjoy.
You're taking it too seriously.
Yeah. If this means that much to you, your priorities might need to be slightly adjusted.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We're going to piss people off.
No, we welcome the comments.
We're going to make people
mad.
It'll be our fault. Mark, you're ruining gaming again.
Ruining it. I'm surprised. I don't know if Brian took the clip of how I said I'm an idiot and so is everyone else last week. But here we are. The only other thing I want to add is the song at the end. I heard it. I was like, this is high production value. And it gave me like Disney animated film Pixar vibes. And it really makes me think Nintendo's doubling down, if not more so, on just how they plan on building their IPs beyond games.
It's about time. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that they put words to the Donkey Kong theme.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, like I see where you're going. But then on top of that, are they, obviously they want to push bigger into like, the multi part of multimedia. But I think stuff like that is why they can justify like higher prices, because obviously they put a lot of production into doing that one song, and it's stuff like that people aren't going to see the value in.
Wait, hold on.
But it is good.
They're justifying higher prices by doing what everyone else has been doing for 25 years.
So
hold on now.
Nintendo's always been pretty great with music, going back to Koji Kondo on the original games. And I mean, even the Mario Kart World soundtrack is great, but I don't think we're used to hearing a lot of lyrics in their songs. So it's interesting. Now, my one thing I'll say, and we got to get off this topic. We can't be talking about Donkey Kong all day, but if Nintendo wants people to really use that Nintendo Music app, put the Mario Kart World soundtrack and the Donkey Kong Bonanza soundtrack on it now.
Yeah. Make it relevant, because I enjoy using it. I've been listening to Donkey Kong Country's, like the OG Donkey Kong Country soundtrack, because most of those songs have been stuck in my head this week. And it's like, well, if I could listen to some new stuff, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. DK rap and aquatic ambiance, and I'll be extremely productive at work.
Right.
Speaking of relevance, there's some news about Xbox, right, Chrono? I mean,
Yeah. We can move on to that for sure. So Microsoft released a video. It was like a 1-minute thing. Sarah Bond was like, "Hey, we're partnering with AMD. The future of Xbox is in handhelds and multiple devices, and not being a single platform," which we already knew. I guess they were just saying it. And then AMD president Lisa Su put out a video also this week that was like, "Hey, we're partnering with Xbox. We're moving beyond, dedicated hardware, and we're going all in on like gaming optimized CPUs." And the internet has been a buzz with it because the big focus was multiple devices, which we knew Microsoft wanted Xbox to go in that direction, for the last 4 years maybe. And then with the ROG handheld, people are really excited about it, and then some people are not excited about it because they don't want. I don't know what they don't want. I guess they don't want the idea of Xbox not being tied to a console to be a reality because they're still stuck in the past. But this is really the way forward, right? Like, this is what we want. And so there's just been a lot of discourse around that. But I think the biggest thing is Microsoft's dedication to backwards compatibility, and AMD has even mentioned that in this new deal and this new design that they've mentioned. There's no details on that. Just there's next generation hardware coming, dedicated gaming hardware coming for Xbox, but we don't really know what that looks like yet.
I feel like the one takeaway I got is just confirmation potentially of their next hardware device being this device that will play your Xbox games and your Steam games.
Yep.
And I'm curious what you guys think. PlayStation's obviously with AMD as well. With the PS5 Pro, they're getting rid of their custom PSSR AI equivalent, and they're going to FSR for the future of that. I'm sure that means we'll see FSR on Xbox as well. I wonder what that means from, just the future of those platforms too. I mean, it just comparable performance more so than we've seen, even though they're pretty close already.
Yeah, when everybody, it happened with the last gen when everybody switched to x86. The performance was really, really close, and now with the current generation PlayStation, Xbox, they're still very close. I think those targeted like the way FSR is implemented on PlayStation versus Xbox might come down to some custom stuff because the Xbox relies heavily on like DirectX, and it should. I mean, that's been the thing for Microsoft forever. And so I think you'll see some of those like deeper integrations really be the differentiating points, but I don't think the average gamer is even going to notice half of this.
Most people don't.
You have to have a pretty trained eye to see the difference,
I just rely on Digital Foundry to zoom in for me and tell me why I should be upset that this looks bad.
There you go. Which, if we're at a point now where you have to zoom in by 50 to like see the slight blur on the edge, it's like, okay, maybe it doesn't matter anymore. I will say, I never thought I could notice frames that much, but that whole Nintendo Welcome Tour, I could tell the difference between 120 and 60. So,
I was playing Fortnite on Switch too because gyro and mouse controls have interested me, and so I've been doing that. And then I switched over because I noticed there was like just some frame pacing issues on the Switch 2 version of Fortnite. So I switched to my Xbox, which my Series S it runs it at 120, which is great. But I didn't realize how like much better it felt at 120 frames until like last night when I switched. I was like, look, I can't keep watching these frames like drop and like stuttering. Mm-hmm. So let me just switch to the Xbox and just play. And it was so much smoother. But then the like doubled frame rate, I was just like, oh my gosh, why have I been suffering at 60 on purpose?
Well, it's kind of funny because there's like a diminishing return.
Yeah.
Right. So like 60 to 120. Yeah, you'll notice. 120 with 144, you're not going to notice. 144 to like, I don't know, 175. Yeah, I mean, kind of. But when you go from 120 to 240, that's when it's like, whoa, this is like so different. So when you guys finally get caught up on your hardware,
it'll
be great.
Yeah, my PC can, I have a 5090. I think it's only limited by the monitor, But when I was playing Destiny 2 a few weeks ago, just to stress test it and Doom the Dark Ages on it, I was maxed out at 120 with max graphics and all that stuff. My issue is like I stream, and it doesn't matter when you're streaming. Yeah,
they're going to
so
be
it's
seeing
just-
30. So
yeah, which I think Twitch did. I got in the beta. I don't know if you did, Chrono, but Twitch has a 2K 60 resolution now.
I've really just been sticking with 1080 60. Like that's what I push, because it's nobody's watching in 120 frames. You know, the 120 hertz is purely for my benefit, but 30 on action games is rough. Like streaming, if you're streaming like, you know, Fortnite or even like Final Fantasy 16, it's very fast, surprisingly so. You know, that would be a very poor viewing experience.
I would agree. I think that's the perfect though transition point for another topic related to Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
What happened? I heard good and bad news. I had bad news first and then good news. So what's going on in Final Fantasy 16's Xbox launch?
Well, it came out and it shadow dropped, right? And so I kind of expected like sales to be decent, but not, you know, amazing, because the game's been out for how long? 2-3 years at this point?
Just
2
about,
years?
yeah. At least 2.
Yeah, so we've got a 2-year-old game finally hitting Xbox. People that were waiting on that specifically were definitely going to buy it on the console. But apparently, the initial reports were that the first like week it only sold 22,000 copies total, which I was like, there's, you know, that number is amazingly low, but Xbox sales, you know, console sales themselves have been traditionally low throughout this generation. So is it that surprising? But then a couple days later, the store updates on Xbox, and it's the number 11 like top selling game. So it's not in the top 10, but it's definitely in the top 15. That's wild to me, because if the sales are that low, either every game on Xbox is selling terribly, or they just delayed updating the store and sales numbers. Either way, though, those low numbers don't really surprise me, because I feel like everybody that wanted the game on not Xbox already got it. There's no reason for them to get it on Xbox.
Yeah, it goes back to my comment last week is I'm an idiot. So if a game's exclusive on PlayStation for 2 years before it hits PC or Xbox, I'm going to have a PlayStation for that reason.
I literally got tired of waiting on Final Fantasy VII Remake to hit Xbox, so I bought a PS5.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out on Xbox.
I feel like, and I don't play Xbox much, but the people, my friends of mine who are big Xbox gamers, for them, the big drive is Game Pass. So I feel like now that Game Pass has been around for 5+ years, you're kind of conditioning your audience to a degree to not buy games, but to play them when they're on Game Pass. So I would think that number might be higher, especially if it was global and it's at number 11. But I also want to be surprised if number 11 on PlayStation is significantly more sales than number 11 on Xbox, just based on install base and consumer behavior between the platforms. This Square's, I don't remember exactly, but you guys might. Did Square kind of comment in the last year or so that they're moving away from platform exclusivity as much as they can?
Yeah, that's something that was at the beginning of the year. Go ahead, Scrag.
No, just saying. Yep, I was agreeing.
But yeah, that was a big thing at the beginning of the year. They've noticed. I guess they've just noticed lower overall numbers when they do the exclusive and then a delayed release. Whereas if they made it available everywhere day one, then everyone excited about the game is just going to buy it on their favorite platform.
Well, it feels
obviously,
bad, right? like if you're excited. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I say obviously PlayStation is going to continue to like be the platform as far as dedicated hardware goes. I think PC starts off a little slower and then ramps up unless it's available day one and there's hype behind it and it actually runs well. You know, because you know there's always that challenge, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. But you were saying, Scrag, I'm sorry, I just completely like stepped on what you were saying.
No, it's okay. I did the same thing, so it's no worries. It feels bad, right? It's like a game that you're really excited for is going to be coming out, right? Like let's say, I don't know, Monster Hunter Tri, and you're super excited for it, and you're like, oh, I'm so ready. I have a PlayStation Vita. And they're like, no, you don't get to play this game unless you spend $300 to buy this other console that you don't like. Well, then you're going to be like, okay. And then whenever they eventually come out with the game, the excitement is gone. The hype is gone. You're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's a good point, because it could be a good strategy or a bad strategy for the hardware and the publisher. And in Nintendo's case, they spent a lot of money to keep Monster Hunter exclusive during that generation. And I would think it worked to a degree. Capcom's been very successful over the years, and I would imagine Capcom's production costs when a game like Monster Hunter Tri is lower than Final Fantasy, right? Just how big they are. But for Square, for how many years in a row have we heard now, like, games aren't performing as expected? And if you go back and you say, well, what's the best-selling Final Fantasy game of all time in recent times? I think of all time, it's Final Fantasy 15. What did Final Fantasy 15 do? Launch on all platforms.
Yeah.
It's 14.
I
Pretty sure
mean,
it's 14.
No, 15. The one with Noctis and the boys going on their
Yeah.
world adventure.
I saw something. Maybe they excluded that.
I think they were talking single player, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you. My bad.
Yeah, because the sales for 14, obviously it would be the best selling because it's been out a lot longer, and they keep adding content and bringing new players in. That would also like make games like World of Warcraft like the number one.
Oh, it's 10
game ever.
Yeah,
10's the best selling.
10 has sold 20.8 million. 15 has sold
10 million. 10 million
and
plus.
14 is actually, it says it's only sold about 2 million. I thought it would be
Interesting.
more than
that just means everybody's playing the free trial and then not subscribing.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised revenue though if 14 is the most profitable, right? But yeah, that's my point. In recent times, as 7 Remake was disappointing, Rebirth was disappointing, 16 was disappointing, 15 sold 10 million at launch.
Mhm.
My friend was getting it on PlayStation. I had an Xbox. I was like, oh, I'll just get it on an Xbox. That game I enjoyed, but I don't think it was as good as 16 or 7 Remake.
I think it was just available everywhere, and that hype led to just hype sales. Like people were buying it day one because they didn't have to go buy. Because if I already have an Xbox and I can just buy it on Xbox, that's easy. But if it's only on PlayStation, now I've got to go, well, do I go get a PlayStation? And then I maybe delay buying all of that until, I'm more comfortable buying a whole new platform for one game. Because I know personally, when the console cycles come around, PlayStation, I usually wait for the revision, which I felt like sooner than, previous gens, but I usually wait for the revision because there's usually a good library, back catalog of games I can pick up. And most everything multi-platform I can get on Xbox, which looks like it'll just soon be PC anyway.
Yeah.
Given what we were talking about earlier. And so I really think they finally understand, hopefully they understand just doing non-exclusive launches or non-exclusive releases would be is not the way to go. Just make it available to everybody, because this game's supposed to appeal to a broad audience anyway.
Yeah, if your game's budget is like $250 million or more, you in this day and age, you probably need to release that on as many platforms as possible at the same time. And honestly, it's interesting too, because if we go back to what Square said after the more recent Dragon Quest remake of 3D, they were like, yeah, game performed better than we expected. It launched everywhere.
Yeah.
And it also cost less production wise than a 16 too. So
yeah.
It's interesting. 16 is still one of my more favorite recent games. I know why people don't like it. I'm empathetic towards that, but I do want to revisit it.
As someone who just started playing it, it is a lot more violent or graphic than previous Final Fantasies, and I think they made a big deal about that going in. Like, hey, this is like a darker, more mature story. But I was actually like very surprised in the first 3 hours just how much happened that was just like, ouch. This is I'm depressed.
There's also like more moral ambiguity. Well, not ambiguity. There's also more moral like bad stuff, I guess you could say. It wasn't around in the other games as much.
Yeah, I think if I would to categorize it, I would say traditionally Final Fantasy games go for what genre wise you'd call like high fantasy. There's a lot of idealism, a lot of, very clear moral archetypes. And Final Fantasy 16 definitely went after more low fantasy, like Game of Thrones. That's the popular one in recent decades. That kind of a lot more moral grayness with protagonist and antagonist and all that. I will say buckle up because the game only gets crazier.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I didn't a lot of people were like, the combat's just not really my thing, but I prefer an action RPG to, I'm not saying turn-based is bad, but I'm just saying like I prefer the action RPG because my boomer caveman brain would rather push button to smack thing than push button and watch the thing play out. I mean, I love like old school turn-based Final Fantasy. There's a place for that.
Yeah.
But I would rather just hit things and watch it happen.
No disagreement here.
Now, somebody asked, Robert asked, how did Final Fantasy 16 do on PS5? And to date, it's sitting at 3.5 million copies worldwide, which most of that, it says with a peak of 3 million sales achieved in its opening week. So if that summary is correct, that means it hasn't sold well since launch, but it did launch on PC pretty well, if I'm not mistaken. I think that it hit like the Steam like top 10 pretty quick.
Yeah. I would be curious to see what the Steam numbers are too. I'll look that up.
But again, 16 had a huge marketing budget. I remember over the summer that game was launching. I was seeing it while watching like Discovery Channel commercials or something, or even sports. You'd see advertisements for that game. So they spent a lot of money promoting it, just like they did with past games. And yeah, I imagine they're in a situation where they still, need to recover a lot of revenue on that game. So
yeah. And I don't think the porting work was that difficult. You can look at like the performance issues that people have brought up on Xbox Series X and S. I'm playing it on my Series S, and yes, there are parts of the game that I'm like, ooh, that looks rough, but it hasn't ruined my experience with it. Like obviously if I played it on my PC, I could crank up the settings, and maybe I should, but if you only had a Series S, there's going to be some rough spots, but combat wise, I haven't noticed any like frame dips or slowdown. It's just the visual fidelity is definitely turned down on it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the type of game where you want to have a dynamic resolution to prioritize frames.
And you can see it. You can see it kick in at certain points, like in certain cutscenes. It'll look decent, and then it'll like quick pan, and it's like, ooh, what happened?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the tail end of those game sales are, because we have no information on this, but knowing that we're getting 7 remake and I'm pretty sure Rebirth on the Switch too, we'll probably see 16 on the Switch too. Let's hope we get 14, because weirdly enough, that will be the place I continue my slow trudge through post A Realm Reborn content.
I mean, you could just wait for it to come out on your phone.
Yeah,
I will never do that.
It looks so janky.
It's weird. That announcement I found to be very odd.
It was supposed to be 11. Sense. Why did they drop 11 for this? Why? I would have totally played a mobile version of 11 with like current quality of life.
Scrag, are there different servers for the mobile version of 14?
I assume there will be, because there's microtransactions for in-game stuff and cosmetics and stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be separate, and especially I don't want to play a dungeon with somebody playing on their screen like this. So
why didn't you see that?
Sorry.
Oh, well, my thumbs were in the way. I'm sorry.
You don't see that ad over there that just killed our healer like 6 times? No, my screen is only 720p and it's this big.
Yeah. What I will say is I probably behave functionally the same way even on my PC the first few times I got in some tough dungeon battles. But that's my skill set.
Hey, but at least it would be your fault.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple battles I remember in some dungeons. I was just like, what's going on? They're like, no, you got to do this before that point. I was just like, this is why I'm not an MMO player because, like,
Yeah.
thankfully, Final Fantasy 14's community is so helpful. I feel like it varies. There are some communities that are like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, I already know that.
Yeah.
Help me not be one as much. So,
Well,
Um,
luckily, once you learn the language, it makes sense.
it's not untrue. It's not untrue. It takes time. All right. Anything else related to 16, Prano?
No, I think that's it. I'm curious to see how the sales do overall, though. Right? I guess leading into 7 remake launching on Xbox and Switch too.
Yeah, I do wonder, similar to 16, I would think 7 remake would have had even a bigger draw for people to just buy the console if they wanted to play it.
Yep.
There's the handful of what I would say for fiscally smart people that waited. But again,
I'll wait for sale. It'll be $10 eventually.
yeah.
It'll be in a bundle, the Final Fantasy
Yeah.
Mega Collection.
Yeah, I only have to wait 7 more years. No big deal.
Yeah,
And
it's okay.
Mark, sorry for jumping down your throat on the Final Fantasy 15 comment, because when I heard that the worst Final Fantasy sold the most copies, I was like, that is not true.
And in recent years, it is, right? Final Fantasy 15 was the first one I've ever fully beat. And so here's what I will say. I love how that game opened with Stand By Me. I thought that was an awesome remake. And if you take that throughout the rest of the game, you realize like, oh, this is kind of like a Stephen King novel of kind of a group of boys growing up together and fighting something. What they did wrong is I beat that game before any DLC was released. I don't know what the heck happened. Like they patched it all later on. They added content, but I was like,
I got to the end and realized, like, if I hadn't had, and I still haven't done any of the DLC, but like the way it just jumps time, and you're just like, okay, cool, we're now
here
older.
now.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't like that aspect of it, and I get why people don't like it, but it's still one of my favorites, just in terms of like I enjoyed the world. Like the world itself was fun, and the side quests entertained me. Just doing all like the bounties and stuff, I thought that was fun.
yeah, I thought the world was fun. I thought the combat was an interesting mix of action and kind of RPG. But yeah, I don't sit here after playing like 16 and 7 remake and a little bit of Rebirth saying like, oh, it's better. Story wise, it was very incoherent. And what my friends will tell me is like, well, you got to watch the Kingsglaive movie. And then you got to play this. And they had a graphic novel.
It's
Exactly.
why
You have to do that.
That's why I have a problem with Halo. It's the same thing. It's well, if you go read the novel, you understand what happened between these two games, and now you have context for why all of the. No, I don't make me do that. Give me a summary.
Yeah, And to be fair with Halo, I feel like I don't need that much exposition to fill the gap. But with that Final Fantasy game, and Square does this with Kingdom Hearts as well, where it's just like, what is going on?
Play the side games.
Yeah. If you didn't play the Game Boy Advance game and you didn't play this, then
none of this makes sense. I don't know. I still hope Kingdom Hearts 4 is on the way. I'd like a new trailer, please. If we're petitioning Square for anything.
How can they release a 4 when 3 never came out?
Is that
3's good? A lot of people have problems with 3. 3 is a fine game. Especially it's once again after the patches. They had to patch the combat, but it is a fine game.
How can I have problems with a game that never came out? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Once they introduced time travel, it all went downhill.
They introduced time travel in that game?
I don't know.
They actually introduced time travel in the game before it that was a spin-off game, and then leaned heavily into that time travel aspect. You know what? Nomura loves making us confused. That's all it is.
I'm all for esoteric storylines, but I don't naturally default to like, I didn't understand it, therefore it was great. And I think Kingdom Hearts is a great example of that. What I will say is 3, I don't know what it was, man. I just felt like it was so cutscene heavy. It was like the combat's fun, but just like, I don't care that much.
Yeah.
Earth by Sleep is still my favorite game because
that's the best one.
Earth by Sleep was great.
Yeah, it made sense out of the story. You knew what was going on. You know why Sora wasn't Sora at the beginning of 2, like all of it.
I think I just like sad, depressing stories. And the longer you play through Birth by Sleep, like each character, you're just like, I hate this. Let me keep going.
You know what other one was good? The one with the card system on the Game Boy Advance.
Shut your mouth.
Dude, that one was
Man, that set up everything for Kingdom Hearts 2.
it was
really
so
was.
integral.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you need to know kind of what happened so you understand. And it's like, please stop with the spinoffs. This is my letter to every game developer out there. Make the spinoff a true spinoff. Don't make it tie into the franchise and be an essential part of the story, please.
Yeah, I would agree. And if you do that, at least try to keep it on the platform that people are currently playing the main game to. Because you know that creates a. I don't think it's a good business decision. But my only.
It's just Square's strategy, right? We release some of it on this platform, some of it over here, and then we question why it didn't sell very well.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans that stand by Chain of Melodies or whatever that one was called. The GBA.
Memories.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They have rhythm games
Actually,
too.
I actually enjoyed that game. It was fun.
The GBA version is great. It's very fun. The 3D version they did on PS2 is not great because you're fighting yourself the whole time. You're going, this is a 3D Kingdom Hearts. I should be able to just hit the things. And then it's like, no, you still have cards and the rooms are big and boring and empty. And I'll end that rant there. Like that Square makes some questionable decisions. That's where I'll leave it.
Hey man, but Kingdom Hearts 4, it's going to be great.
I hope.
My big wish, and it's not going to happen, but it's just like, if I played this game when the first one originally came out, I'm sure I would have a larger affinity for all the Disney animated characters that are in it. But I played it when I was much older, like I was 26, 27, and I cared more about the Final Fantasy characters, which become less and less of a thing as the series progressed. But Disney's IPs are much different than it was when that game came out. So if you give me an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia world where I could team up with Charlie Day, right?
Just want Danny DeVito to show up.
Yeah.
Cat food to feed him to power
Yeah.
him up.
Milk steak power, the milk steak keyblade or something like that.
Danny DeVito comes out of the couch as a summon.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be pure.
And I started blasting.
Yeah.
Again, they're not going to do that, but if they did,
There's strong indications that they'll pull like Star Wars into this one. There's a lot of people who watch.
God,
like,
please no, fuck.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, I understand it because if it's modern Star Wars,
We're gonna have a lightsaber keyblade. Are you kidding me?
I mean, they already did Tron, and the Tron integration
Okay, well,
was
I mean,
great.
that is fair. That is fair.
Tron was fine. Yeah.
But I don't know if I want all of the Disney live action stuff to be pulled in.
Deadpool,
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Oh my god,
That would actually kind of be sick, though. Like,
yeah, I'd be down for like some kind of Marvel.
Like-
they already did Big Hero 6, so they've
was
opened that door.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't mean to turn this into the Kingdom Hearts speculation podcast.
What other topics we got?
we killed 20 minutes there just bashing Kingdom Hearts 3.
I
So
don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of that before.
it doesn't exist. Yeah. Okay. I think the only other thing we were going to talk about was there were the one Switch 2 item related to the MIG cartridges, not bricking systems. But there's two things I think I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah, so big
Bless you.
switches. Don't use that with the Switch 2. If
I
you
mean,
have one, you naughty boys.
They warned you. They warned everybody.
They did. They said, hey, don't do this. And if you do, we have the ability to take action. So for those that don't know, right, the MIG cartridge was a very popular device for the Switch 1 that allowed people to dump ROMs onto a Switch-like cartridge, and then they could play emulated games, right? Is that a fair summary?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Dumped
and-
games. Legally dumped ROMs.
Yep.
Which,
Totally legal.
Only legally.
yeah, which I that's the only reason people would use that for a new console, right? Is to
Right.
dump because those games are hard to get now. You can't.
I mean, yeah. It's a
it's
a
storage-
struggle carrying around like 4 cartridges or one SD card inside
Yeah.
the console.
Yeah, especially since SD cards nowadays, especially the non-express ones, they're only limited to like 2 terabytes. So a lot of Switch games that
And
are
then
like
you
10
have to have that special like express version of the SD card for the Switch too. You can't just use a micro SD
Yeah,
card
man.
off the shelf
It costs
anymore.
it costs like $60. It's crazy.
Yeah. So what happened is, right, for people that put this in their Switch 2 system, they're now banned from playing online.
Some
right?
people have reported being banned. Not everybody.
I'm sorry.
No,
You
go ahead,
interrupted
go ahead.
once. Continue, and then I'll interrupt after.
No, go ahead, because that's all I got. Is I've seen some like modders talk about, hey, I got hit with a ban. I assume this is because of the MIG switch, but I don't know if everybody's being hit with this.
So it is if you use it and you go online.
Okay.
That is what the research. I say research. I watched like 3 videos on it the other day, and it's basically like if you put it in and you're online, you're probably gonna get hit. But if you put it in and you're offline, so far those people are okay.
Interesting.
So don't dump Mario Kart 8 and then try to play it from my Switch 2 MIG switch.
I would make sure Wi-Fi is turned off completely.
Yeah. I personally have no issue with Nintendo doing this for a new console, especially given how effective the MIG cartridge was at emulating Switch games. And
it required like some work though, because like the way it dumps the game, you still have to have like the certificate that is tied to that cart. So if you were to like borrow your friend's game, and I'm not saying you would, but if you did and you copied it and then he was playing online and you were playing online, one of y'all is going to get banned, you know.
Okay.
Because their servers would go, hey, this certificate is coming up twice and it shouldn't be.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, makes sense to try to limit that from a piracy perspective, but it's interesting. I am curious though if it is purely the online thing, because I remember you guys know who Spawnwave is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He one of the first things he did was test the MIG cartridge on his Switch 2. And I don't know if he was online or not, or if he's reported that he's now banned for one of his systems.
I don't know. I haven't seen his follow up regarding that. He did report on like the consoles being banned, or the people that reported their systems being hardware banned, because some of that's the thing too. It's a hardware ban. It's not an account ban, because they've wiped it and put a new account on it, and it's like, oh, this Switch cannot go online. Like they get hit with that warning from Nintendo. So buying secondhand Switches suddenly becomes risky if they're console banning
it's
them.
just another thing that Nintendo's doing to make more money, honestly.
It will be interesting from a trade-in perspective. Like, what will GameStop do to make sure? Will they charge less for a banned Switch 2?
Yeah, this one does not work online. It's offline only. But to your point about Spawnwave, though, he I don't think he launched a game. I think he just tried to cycle through to see if like the Switch card itself, the MIG Switch card itself, would function. Yeah. And that video, he had trouble getting the cartridge to actually swap games.
Okay.
Because the way it's set up is like you load it and it pops up like the first game in the list, and then you pop it out and then pop it in. It loads the second one. It just reads down the file tree, and it just didn't do it on his Switch too. And I don't know if that was like a firmware thing that could be updated by the MIG team.
Yeah,
maybe.
It was pre-patched. They updated it, and that's when people started getting banned.
Interesting.
Oh, well, there you go. That's you know what, Scrag? Those 3 videos you researched, that gave us the full story.
Yeah, coming clutch there.
Yeah, I stand by your decision on Kingdom Hearts 3 not existing just because of your coverage right now.
Thank
you. I don't like that I'm in the minority on Kingdom Hearts 3 enjoyer.
Maybe one day I'll play that weird game that is like Kingdom Hearts called Kingdom Hearts 3, but
I just prefer to live in a world where they just kept us waiting forever because, whatever
I thought about it the other day, and I don't know why. It's just morbid thoughts. But like, let's say you played the game as an adult. You played Kingdom Hearts 2 and you really wanted 3, but you just didn't make it, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and it's just like, that's sad. You never got a conclusion to that story. And I feel like with the way 4 is shaping up, there'll be people that don't get to experience 4 if it ever comes out. And that's just, it's taking too long to make these games is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Or to tell the story.
What story? There's no story.
The story.
Are we still looking for Kyrie? Is he still trying to find his girlfriend? Is that what's going on?
No, he saved her at the end of 3, and now he's stuck in what amounts to hell, I guess. I don't know. It's the real world. If you look at the trailer for 4.
Okay. Well, if that's
the case, he's still looking for Kyrie.
No, he's looking for a way back to
Kyrie.
To get to
Disneyland.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying here, right?
No, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? You pick.
I see what you're saying, but you don't acknowledge the 3. No, I'm not going to go down that road. that route.
We have about 10 minutes left. So the one other thing, we didn't bring this up in the Discord, but this is something that went big last night and then was shut down today. But did you all see in the UK, in one of the subway systems or whatever they call them over there? I don't know if they call them subways, but there was a giant ad for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and it said,
yes,
out now. So people were like, the game's shadow dropping. And then there was some people that understand how ads could work, and Nintendo confirmed to VGC that no, the game is not out now, obviously.
You just go to the eShop and see that.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
Well,
So,
like, did anybody think they would treat it like they did Metroid Prime Remastered, where they're just like, oh, here it is, and it's available today? It's like they've been hyping this game up since the Switch 1 like launched.
yeah, 2017 was like the first trailer for it, I want to say.
The logo reveal.
Yes. And then before it got, to be fair, it is a different game than whatever that was supposed to be. They did redo it. Yeah, I was reading about it. I was just like, oh, that'd be weird to do a shadow drop right before Bonanza.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they shadow dropped it, but I think the best explanation is banners like that have layers, so you could then take it off when it says the release date versus out now, or how long. And it seems like someone just messed that up, where they didn't put the layer on to say coming soon.
Or they just pulled the wrong one out of the package. You know, like maybe they got sent like, hey, this is like the next 6 months of Metroid Prime ads, you know?
Yeah. I like to think there's some guy who has that job that knows nothing about Metroid or gaming, that has no idea about the storm he just set upon the internet, Nintendo nerds. And he's just drinking a beer in a pub right now, you know, just like, oh yeah, my boss called me, I put the wrong ad up. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's
oh my gosh. He's like, what is this crap? And he just like pastes it up, just wants to be done with the day. And then gets swarmed by nerds. Like as soon as it's up there, it's just like, what? And he's like, stupid children.
Stupid kids. I'm gonna go back and play my Stellar Blade. So I think that's yeah, we got about 7 minutes to 6 minutes or so. Let's switch to what we're playing. Scrag, what are you playing?
I played a couple of hours of Dune Awakening. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
You still having server issues?
No, I mean, it was better.
That's good.
I mainly just have, it's like kind of just like a chill game for me. Like you just get in, take some people's blood, turn it into water, get some stone, get some metal, you know, just kind of chilling around, running for your life from sandworms, sniffing worm poop. You know, it's a good time.
As one does.
No, but other than that, I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 11, a little bit of Magic the Gathering. That's about it.
The app game Magic, or like the new
the online one I played a little bit, because they were giving away free Final Fantasy packs. So
yeah, I saw that they were putting that in there. It's like, oh, cool, they did make it digital.
Yeah,
cool. Have you played any more Stellar Blade?
I think I downloaded the mod that I sent earlier, and then I just never messed with it and never installed it, never opened it, nothing.
Yeah, again, I have that bathing suit. Going to the beach next week. I'll send you guys a photo.
Be a good time.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Like, don't let me down.
Oh, and hey, Chrono Mark, I'm just saying, with the Kingdom Hearts thing, I've lived half of my life, and Sora still hasn't achieved his goal. You know what I'm saying?
That's yeah, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people relate to him.
I feel called out on some of those. I'm done. I'm out of here. I feel called out by that.
Hey man, you got a wife, you got a kid, you know. I just started. Yeah,
Sora should be with a wife and a kid right now, but you know what? Disney did him dirty.
How long has this been out, and he's still just like what 17 now?
Hey man,
it's like Bart Simpson.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, what about South Park? Those kids are still in like 4th grade, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not surprised they're still in 4th grade. Let's be honest.
They got held back.
They held back a lot.
Good times. Good times. That's probably another clip will make people mad there.
Good.
Corona, what about you?
I started Final Fantasy 16. I touched on that earlier. It's really fun. A lot of F words. That surprised me. Trying to be family friendly in my content. And then I played the M-rated Final Fantasy game. So it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's been fun. I did not expect the story to be like, holy crap, what is happening to that little kid right at the beginning? But I watched that cutscene at the beginning. And then I've been messing with just random games on the Switch too. Still, Fortnite, the mouse controls are still kind of bugging me. I want them to be better, and they're not quite there. And then messing with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it's just like a whole different game on Switch too. It bothers me that I didn't play it this way first, because I played the OG release and I had fun with it, but I could have had more fun if I had waited.
Is it true that it's a lot easier to catch shinies in this version because of how much there's a difference in certain pop-ins?
I'm not an expert on shiny hunting, but I caught a shiny Porygon 2 this morning on stream, and it was during one of like the outbreaks where it's just a bunch of that Pokemon spawn.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that was much easier than any other time I've attempted and failed, because I think in my playthrough I've only seen maybe 4 shinies, but it's not something I go look for.
I didn't really know they were a thing till Sword and Shield, but apparently they've been around for years.
Yeah.
And I only ever caught some in Legends Arceus for the first time.
It was in that game. It was a lot easier to get them, and it was surprising. But they had to do something, because the math for like the spawn rate of these things is crazy, and it's like a 1 in like several thousand or 100,000 chances for depending on the Pokemon.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know, as Robert asks, is it attached to frame rate? I'm guessing it's attached to some limit in the game that allows more to spawn because of there being extra power.
Yeah, I think just the fact that there's more Pokemon on screen, it would lend to shiny spawning more easily.
Yeah.
You'll see them because there's just literally more Pokemon on screen, which doesn't make the world feel as empty, because that was one of my biggest complaints. Is you get on a route, go from town A to town B, and you'll see some Pokemon, some trainers, but there wasn't a whole lot else. And it's like, well, why would I go explore if there's nothing like right here by the path? There's definitely nothing in that empty spot over there, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, better odds because more pools. That's exactly it. Right. If it's like 1 out of every 100, the fact that there's now like 200 appearing at a quicker rate than there would be. Yeah. Cool. I've been playing Switch 2 still. My PlayStation 5 has become my rewatch house device for now. But I've been playing Splatoon 3 a lot.
Dude,
it's
good
great.
job. We need to get a game.
Yeah, I suck at that game. It makes me
I do too.
I get my butt kicked so bad all the time in it. Still playing a lot of Mario Kart World, having a lot of fun online at night. Which, Crown, I don't know what you're doing tonight. If you want to play, I'm probably going to have a stream on that. Just people hanging out in game chat. That's a lot of fun. They did a patch recently to make it easier for people to join. Like if you're in a live party looking for versus or battle, you can join that easier as a friend versus having to just start a lobby of friends with CPU. So that's nice. Knockout Tour, they still don't allow that though, which I'm not sure why.
I think it would be too easy to game Knockout Tour and like boost your rank, because you could get a lobby with your friends and be like, all right, I'm gonna let you win this one and then I'll win the next one.
Yeah. But as my experience has gone in versus and battle, I want to hit my friends more. So
yeah, there's normies like us that want to play competitively, and then there's the
screw their friends over.
I tell you, like if they allowed me to queue up Knockout Tour with friends, like and randoms, I would rather play it that way, because it would be more fun to scream at my friends because of what some random dude did. But that's just personal preference at that point.
Yeah, it's still fun to do Knockout Tour with like a bunch of friends in CPU and hard mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
still my favorite mode, honestly.
Yeah,
like I didn't know Mario Kart could have a battle royale, but here we are.
Yeah, so that's been a blast. And then the other 2 games I've really been playing, I'm still playing Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma. That's fun, Scrag. Again, I know you were interested in it. I've not played any other Rune Factory game, but I'm having a good time. My villages are bigger. Everything is opening up. That's good. And I just started Raidu Remastered. the Soulless Mystery of the Soulless Army, which is that Atlas remake from PS2. Which
Double
yeah.
Summoner Rhino. Gotcha.
Yeah. So this one's called Raidu Remastered Mystery of the Soulless Army. But yeah, Devil Summoner Raidu. It's pretty cool. I've never played Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, and I'm really enjoying the like capture creature mechanics that help you with battles, and they help you in the detective parts. It's a lot of combat, a lot of interesting mechanics. I put like almost 3 hours in it last night for the first time playing it while I was kind of just laying around, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep playing this game. I'm flabbergasted that it's a PS2 game, but I'm guessing Scragga was a very popular PS2 cult hit from Atlas. It seems like for them to bring it back, right?
Yeah, but not here.
Yeah, say not here.
Not here.
It's very
Okay.
famous in the Shin Megami Tensei like fan stuff, but like in terms of like people knowing what it is, like I'm sure you've heard of like Nocturne or like Persona, but you would have almost never heard of Raido before.
I did not until they showed it at the Switch 2 reveal, and I was like, "Oh, it's a game coming out early. I'll get it." So
I considered getting it on Steam, but like I don't know. I'm saving up. I don't think I can. I'll wait for a sale.
Yeah, I'm sure it will go on sale eventually. Obviously, most games do. But well, cool. Well, yeah. So, Jens, Scrag, Chrono, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitch, X, basically everywhere people are usually consuming content. Chrono 32123. We got to get those numbers out. The rebrand is coming.
There you go. Scrag.
Just find me here. I'm just here to start fights. It's cool.
I
Just
think
to bash
everything you said
Kingdom
about
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was 100% accurate. So
I'll not stand for this, and that's why
yeah.
I'm sitting down.
There you go. You can find me at Mark J. Liberto everywhere. And like I said earlier, Chrono will be playing some Splatoon and Mario Kart tonight on Twitch. Yeah, it's a good show, guys. Again, next week, Brian will be back, but it's always fun to just kind of, lift it up for him and do the show without him too. So I appreciate all you guys' help today.
Yeah, it's been fun.
All right, everyone. I'm going to hit end stream, and I hopefully don't play the video twice like I did last time. So have a great day, everyone. Oh, no, but I do got to set an outro video. So
It's awkward. What do we do?
awkward.
I don't know
All
what to do with my hands.
We're